Now, if you follow MMA at all, you probably know who this guy on the left is. This is Islam Makhachev, and you probably also heard he wants to go for his second belt. Now, you've also probably heard Belal Muhamad saying he can fight at 185, and maybe even Ali Abdelaziz saying he can fight at 205. So I just have to do that every single time. If I say his name, I hear McGregor to say Ali Abdelaziz, my dad is snitch, yeah. That's not even Irish to it. It doesn't really matter. Can Islam Makhachev actually fight at 185? That's the question of the video. And can he compete at 185 and not get mauled? Well, firstly, question you might be asking is why the fuck is he doing this in the first place? He is 155. Why is he jumping a weight class to 185? Well, it's all because of this man here, Belal Muhammad. Basically, just befriended the entire Habib Nurmagomedov training camp in his build up to Leon Edwards fight. The Leon Edwards fight. I'm taking a speeching course. I can't. Speeching! Jeez. Anyway, so, and this basically means that Islam Makhachev and Belal Muhammad are now apparently very good friends and never want to fight each other ever. Now, this, in my opinion, is more of a marketing stunt or just a stunt by Belal Muhammad anyway to stop the train that is Islam Makhachev running him over and taking his belt and ruining his career. So, that's what I think that is. However, and he's doing that by just redirecting Islam Makhachev to a different guy, which doesn't even make sense hypothetically because he's fighting Strickland and then the winner's getting Hamzat, and then if it's Duplessis both times, they're probably going to do like a rematch for Duplessis. So he had multiple title defenses, so he doesn't even work hypothetically. But hypothetically, in this new hypothetical scenario, that doesn't make any sense. Can Islam Makhachev actually compete at 185 if he was to have a fight at 185? Well, there's some advantages he has and a few disadvantages. So we're going to go with the advantages first because we don't want to, diss Islam Makhachev because he is the pound for pound number one. He does have the technical advantage. Now, on average, lighter weight classes, i.e., flyweights through to probably about lightweights, are more technical than the heavier weight classes. This is pretty much true on average and in the champions as well. Just because of their weight and the size of them, they can do more, and then it's more difficult in the divisions, and they tend to be more stacked. The lower weight divisions are more difficult to progress in, if you get what I'm trying to say. So this basically means that Islam Makhachev will be more technical than any of the top middleweight contenders in terms of jiu-jitsu skill, maybe wrestling. I think he's probably a little bit more technical than Hamzat Chimaev is in terms of his grappling ability. So that is a positive for Islam Makhachev. However, that's where the positives end in this video, unfortunately, because he's going to have the build disadvantage. Now, I've defined build as height plus reach. Now, some people say this doesn't necessarily matter. It does matter. It doesn't just some random thing that, because we measure it for a reason. It does help. Islam Makhachev's reach and height, he is 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. Now, this is the average weight division and the height and reach. Now, I do understand this data might be a little bit outdated. However, it is still very good and important pieces of data. So he fits just about in, well, not just about in, he fits perfectly in with the lightweight division. Reach slightly under, about inch and a half. However, he is half an inch above the height average. Fits in perfectly for the division. Middleweight, he's about 3 inches under the height, which is a reasonable amount, and 5 inches under the reach, which is a massive amount. Now, reach is what we're going to hone in on here. Hang on, here we go. So comparing his reach, which is 70, or against the other people in the division in terms of height and reach, the only one even comes close to is Robert Whittaker, who is a welterweight or former welterweight who is undersized compared to the rest of these guys. Now, if we can, and we're going to hone in on his reach, because reach is not only a good measurement of arm length, but is also a good measurement of build, because someone's reach, because it's measured from arm length to arm length, or fingertip to fingertip, means it also does account for the broadness of someone's shoulders. So, these are two people with the exact same measurements. Now, obviously, I do understand the UFC measurement guy just fucking asks them for their measurements, and they just tell him. So, what's the likelihood that O'Malley's actually 5'11"? I think he's more 5'9". But we're going to go off the official measurements. Whatever, I don't think Adesanya's 6'4" either. But we're just going to go off the official measurements. So it's, I've got a nice, constructive, coherent video. These guys have the exact same measurements, but two completely different builds. So, I was about to say Islam. So, Daniel Cormier, I know he's a little bit fatter than him, and he is carrying a lot more body fat and probably more muscle as well. But his shoulders are a lot broader than O'Malley, and O'Malley's got longer arms. So, reach is a good, it's a good range of measuring arm length, but it's also very good at measuring their build. So, comparing that to some of the guys in the middleweight division, Islam Mahkachev is not only undersized in terms of build. Well, no, he is undersized in terms of build, that's my point. But he's also probably going to have the weight disadvantage. Now, I understand they weigh in at the same, okay? That's why it's a 185 division, a weight class. But weigh-in weight and fight weight are not the same thing, okay? Fighters cut water weight to weigh in lighter at weigh-in. Hopefully that makes sense. The word weight in there is multiple times. This basically means they then rehydrate themselves on fight night about 10 to 20 pounds to weigh more on fight night. So they can weigh more than an opponent or weigh something similar. But you're probably asking, if everyone does this, how does Islam actually have the disadvantage? Well, this is where we come into a little bit of science, right? Spice things up. Muscle contains glycogen stores. Glycogen is a form of carbohydrate, which basically, it stores water because carbohydrates store water because the word hydrate means water. So carbs store water, and in normal language, your body likes to store water in muscles through the form of glycogen, or it just stores water in muscles. This basically means the more muscle someone has, the more water they can cut. Therefore, the more muscle someone has, the more they can weigh in on fight night. But you're probably asking, well, why doesn't Islam Makhachev just put on more muscle? Well, the bigger someone's build is, the more muscle they can achieve naturally due to, the length of their build, their muscle attachments, their muscle bellies, whatever. So, assuming they're all natural athletes, which hopefully they are, because it is a drug-tested sport, and we don't want to be made a mockery of, all these guys here will be able to build much more muscle because they have much bigger builds. More muscle means they have the weight advantage. Hopefully this makes sense. So, to answer the question of today's video, can Islam Makhachev actually fight and compete at 170, or not 170, 185, or even 205? The answer is a big fat no. Stupid answers. Stop taking Belal Muhamad at his word. Belal Muhamad is literally trying to stop Islam from fighting him. It's the only reason why this has even come up in the first place. This is never going to happen. See you in the next one. Goodbye.